Well, good evening and welcome to the April general meeting of the Oak Grove Community Council. It's really nice to see everyone here tonight. And I think I recognize everyone's name, but if there's someone here other than presenters who are here for the first time, we'd love to know who you are. I think we'll go ahead and introduce our board. My name is Valerie Chapman. I'm the chair and I live on Evergreen Street, just a block from the trolley trail. Mark?
Hi, Mark Elliott and Vice Chair along with Valerie, and I live off of Concord Road.
Jane?
Jane Civiletti, I'm the treasurer. I live at the intersection of Oak Grove Boulevard and Fair Oaks Ave.
And Wayne?
Good evening. My name is Wayne Potter. I live at Willamette View on River Road.
Welcome. Joseph Edge is our other board member, and he intends to be here, but he's delayed, so he'll be here late. I do want to make note that Rich Napon, who has been our secretary, and he's been absent mostly for the last year, and he has submitted his resignation. His health issues are just making it not possible for him to participate right now. So we appreciated all that Rich was able to do and accepted his resignation. That means that we do have two open positions on the board. And so if people who are voting members and have some interest in participating with us, please let us know. Just you can contact us at contact@oakgrovecpo.org. That would probably be the easiest way. Or if you know one of the board members, give us a call, and we'd love to have new people. So let's introduce the rest of the people membership that's here tonight. And if you would just let us know about where you live. Joyce.
I'm Joyce Johnson and I live by Putnam High School on Gordon Street.
Welcome. Eleanor.
Hi, I'm Eleanor Hunter and I live on Laurie Avenue, just south of Oak Grove Boulevard.
Welcome. Suzanne.
Good evening. My name is Suzanne.
Whoops, we lost your sound.
Oh, okay. Just wait.
There you are.
Now you can hear me? Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. I'll repeat. I'm Suzanne Wolf and I live off of East Avenue.
Welcome. Baldwin.
I'm Baldwin Vanderbilt and I live on Neff Road, 3 doors up from Stringfield Park.
Hey, good to see you. Thelma.
I'm Thelma Hagen Miller. I live on the corner of Southeast South View and Southeast West View, just south of Concord.
Welcome. And the Hammonds?
Good evening. We're Tom and Jolene Hammond. We live on Viewcrest Drive off of Wallace, off of Thiessen.
Welcome. Tom.
Tom Hogan, and we live on Oatfield Road between Concord and Thiessen. We're the house with the lamppost.
All right.
Driving by.
Gwen.
I'm Gwen. I live on Evergreen, which is a block south of Park and a block and a half from the trolley trail.
Okay. Good to see you. Cindy.
Hi, I'm Cindy Brown. I live at Rose Villa and I've got someone with me here.
And their name is?
Alice.
Okay.
I wouldn't name a cat that, but she's a rescue.
All right. Well, welcome to both of you. Bob.
Hi, I'm Bob Bohan and I live on Southeast Laurie, just a couple of houses away from Rosevilla.
Good to see you. Daniel.
Hey, Daniel Dare Greenside. I live just up near the Mac station.
Good to have you with us. Dave,
Dave Doback. I live at Rose Villa.
welcome. And Sue,
Sue Conahan at Parkview Circle and River Road.
welcome. We're glad that you're here this evening. Well, that's all of us. It's all on one screen tonight, so that made it easier, but we may have other people joining us as the evening goes by. Let's do some officer reports. Jane, do you want to do a treasurer report for us?
I certainly do. I would like to report that while we held a $1,000 check donation until the Oak Grove Community, what is the name, Valerie? I want to get it right.
It's the Friends of Oak Grove Community Council.
Friends of Oak Grove Community Council were able to get their account at a bank. That money has now been transferred. That was a $1,000 transfer. And also a donation has come in of $10.36 just to even my number out. So our current balance is $1,810 and no cents. Thank you, OCDC at large.
Thank you, Jane. The minutes were sent out with the agenda. They were sent out last week as well as yesterday as a reminder. So we want to ask people if there were any corrections to the minutes, any adjustments, particularly in attendance, that need to be noted. If not, they will stand approved as they were sent out.
Just a comment. I want to just really appreciate the fact that the Friends of the Oak Grove Community Council account has been created, and the effort to create a 501c3 and the generosity of Willamette View. I mean, that has been a desire for a long time. So congratulations, everybody who participated in making that happen. Thank you. Thank you.
And we will talk about that a little bit later, but thanks, Eleanor, for enough about it.
It's a lot.
All right, let's get on with our agenda, and I will have our presenters as in turn when your term is time is here to introduce yourselves so that people know. And Bernadette, we know you pretty well. You've been here, but so let's begin with Bernadette Lee, who's Community Affairs Coordinator with TriMet.
Hi, everyone. It's nice to see you again. As Valerie mentioned, my name is Bernadette Lee, and I work as a Community Affairs Coordinator at TriMet, and I'm specifically working on the Park Avenue Garage Expansion Project, which I just wanted to share a quick update with you tonight. So I am going to please just give me 1 second. I'm going to grab my screen. Can everyone see my presentation? Awesome. Okay, so here is a rendering of the garage with the 2 additional floors. And I think everyone has probably seen that picture before, but that's my intro slide. We are talking about the TriMet garage at the corner of Southeast Park Avenue and McLaughlin, just south of the Orange Line Mac Station and then north of the Elks Lodge. So construction has officially started and is moving along. Over the last while since I visited last time, work has included preparing the site for construction, and crews are close to wrapping up the prep work on the top level of the garage. They're also starting to build forms to start adding that next level of construction. The left picture here is a picture of the garage from McLaughlin Boulevard. You can see that there's construction fencing and also a new project sign. The project sign provides a little bit of information to the community about the project, as well as a QR code for folks to get to our webpage and some contact information. The right picture shows the stands that used to hold the solar panels on the top of the garage. Those have been temporarily removed. And solar panels will be installed on the new top floor when the project is complete. So that was kind of something visual I wanted to share with you all. In the coming months, crews are going to start building those new top floors. I wanted to flag for everyone that it is looking like the cement deck pours. Those are the cement pours where they actually start adding kind of the floor of the new levels. Is going to require some longer work days. And we're thinking maybe about 8 this spring and summer. So to make this happen, the team is looking to start the work early in the morning so that they can accomplish, that longer day. So we expect the deck pours to happen sometime between mid-May and late summer. And this work is expected to be spread out over this time frame as there's preparation work that's needed between each of the pour days. Neighbors that live around the site will be notified. And work isn't, did want to let everyone know that work isn't expected to be super loud. It will likely include things like backup alarms for trucks. It may be like a whirling noise from the cement truck, but it isn't really loud construction work. But we just wanted to be transparent and let everyone know kind of early that this is something that it's looking like is going to be needed. And the work is weather dependent. Concrete work has kind of specific weather. So like I said, we just wanted to flag this for the group so that you aren't surprised. So that is really kind of the update I wanted to provide today. Here is my contact information. And feel free if anyone has questions to reach out directly to me. I'm happy to provide any answers. Does anybody have questions that they would like to talk about tonight?
All right, I don't
Okay.
hear any questions. Thank you,
Okay.
Bernadette.
Thank you. I'm taking a class this evening as well. So if everyone's okay, I might hop out quickly and get back to my class.
All right, take care.
Okay.
Thank you for
Have a
being
great night, everyone.
Next, I would like to introduce Celeste Palici, who's the interim principal at New Urban High School, who is going to give us a little overview of what's going on at the high school.
Hi, everyone. As Valerie said, I'm Celeste Palici, and I'm happy to announce that I'm no longer the interim principal. I am becoming the principal. I guess effective July 1st, but really immediately. So this was my first year as the principal of New Urban High School, and I'm going to talk about the other programs that I work with as well, because we're really not just New Urban High School anymore. We're really more of a hub for multiple pathways, and I'll talk a little bit about what that means. But I'm happy to be here tonight. Thank you so much for reaching out and inviting me. I appreciate it. And I will make sure to leave a little bit of time for questions. I did prepare a presentation. I'm going to try to share it. I don't use Zoom very often, so I'm going to give it my best shot. Just not sure what's going to happen if I make it full screen. I might lose the ability to see you all. Oh no, there I am. Okay.
Perfect.
There we
Perfect.
go.
A plus.
Thanks. Okay, so as I said, I'm the principal here, and I have an assistant principal that I work with too. His name is Chris Chavez, and he's the assistant principal. It's his first year at New Urban also. It's my second year in the district. So last year I had a slightly different role. And then I've taken kind of that role and then the role of New Urban High School principal as well this year. And I'm very excited. It's such a wonderful place and it's a wonderful community, and I'm just thrilled to be here. So here we go. This is the mission statement of New Urban High School. And as you read it, I'll just talk a little bit about this picture is from one of the main events. We have this event twice a year. It's called the Student Exhibition of Learning. And that's exactly what it is. So work that students have been doing in all of their classes the whole semester are exhibited for families and community members and potential New Urban High School students. So we invite 8th grade students as well if they want to come and check out New Urban. And we talk a lot about our programs. And then it's a great time for families to see what their students have been working on. And it's a spectacular event. We also this year we're celebrating our 20th anniversary. So hard to believe that New Urban has been around for 20 years. And we've been celebrating that as well at our student exhibition. So we had, I think this is a picture from last year, but we had a student exhibition this year at the end of first semester, and we'll have another one on May 30th that you are very much invited to. I can send the information. These are our core values: curiosity, empathy, equity, resilience, and integrity. And this is a picture from a team building field trip that we took in September, where we took all the students over 3 days to sort of a challenge course a little bit. This was about as high ropes as we got, we're maybe like 2-3 feet off the ground. But it was about team building and peer belonging, and all of our teachers over the 3 days participated as well. And it was just a really great way to get the year started. Here are some of the features of New Urban High School. We have approximately 100 students. We have very small class sizes with very differentiated learning and very personalized learning. Classes are rarely over 20 students. We really focus on a positive and welcoming school culture, and we focus a lot on like different ways to show learning, not just through tests and quizzes, but through project-based learning or creative artistic ways to show learning and meet the state standards. Our students have access to classes at Sabin Schellenberg, which is the professional technical center that has 17 different programs, career and technical education programs. So they take classes there, and we continue to grow that. It's really important that our students have those opportunities because we're a small school and we have great classes for being a small school, but this really expands their ability to take classes in, as I said, 17 different career and technical education areas. We also, so something that's important is we have students from all over the district. So the district goes all the way out almost to, to Damascus. And we have students that might take the bus for an hour in the morning so that they can get here. And so bus transportation is provided, which is important for our students. We have an after-school program that I'll talk about a little bit. And we also provide breakfast and lunch daily to our students free of charge. So as I said, any district student can apply to come to our school. We're sort of a hidden gem, is the way that I think we like to say, we like to call ourselves, because there are still plenty of people in the district that say, oh, I didn't even know that New Urban High School exists. And then they come in the building and they take a tour and they see it, and their kid is like, oh, I belong here. So we have, we see that, we've seen that a lot this year, where kids just walk in and they walk around and they say, oh, this is where I need to be. And it's a great feeling. I covered all those things. Keep moving. So as I said, so we're really a hub for multiple pathways for student success. And those pathways, New Urban High School is one of those. That is the in-person option. We also have, also under our umbrella of New Urban is New Urban Online, which actually our enrollment has changed since I wrote this. We're at about 360 students in the New Urban Online program, and that's a fully online option for students in grades 6 through 12. And there is a staff that is separate from the New Urban High School staff. They work from home And they work with students, again, all over the district in the online program to provide just a different type of school. So we have a lot of students, particularly older students, who are working a lot, and this online program helps them with that flexibility. There's many different reasons that we would serve students in the online program, a huge variety. We also have our Twilight program, which runs out of New Urban High School. It's a classroom of New Urban High School. In fact, if you drive past New Urban High School, on the corner window, it says Twilight program, because that's Mr. Winch's room. It's a program for students who are 12th graders or above, who have already earned 18 or more credits. And it's sort of a part online, part in-person program. So kids can come in from 4 to 7 p.m. and receive help on their coursework. And our current enrollment is around 60 students, which is where we've capped it. And we have more students this year than we've ever had in the Twilight program. So those are 3 ways that we kind of serve students in our district under this multiple pathways umbrella. And really, we serve students up to age 21 because that's they're still ours until they've graduated. And for some students, that they come back sometimes at 19 or 20 and say, hey, I missed school for a year because of COVID, and now I'd like to finish. And we say, okay, great, these are our options. How are we going to do it? Is that the last one? Nope. Here are a few pictures. If you haven't been inside our beautiful new building, you should come over. Perhaps for the exhibition. The building will be open. We opened, I think, 2.5 years ago. I think it was the year before I got there, before I got to North Clackamas. And it is just a spectacular building, lots of light, and our students take really good care of it, and we appreciate that. And then just a couple things, like the elective courses that we offer. I talked about the Sabin-Schellenberg, the CTE classes that students take at Sabin-Schellenberg, 17 different programs: animal science, culinary, cosmetology, health sciences, forestry. It's spectacular. And our kids they come to school and then they take a bus and go over to Sabin and take their class, and then they take a bus back to New Urban. And then we have a really strong program around preparing kids for the future. So college and career focused, helping kids find their path and make a plan for that path. And then as far as our community goes, we have opportunities for student leadership, such as peer mediators, mentoring. We have a gender sexuality alliance. We have a student events committee and student representatives. And then some of our students also participate as outdoor school counselors, or the district has a youth equity advisory committee, and we have a couple of students that serve on that as well. We have, let's see, I can't see my time. Okay, I got a couple minutes. We have a great after school program right now that we have a 5-year grant. This was the first year of the grant. And these over on the left, these are all of the things that we currently have. We just had an assembly where we did like stations, and kids could rotate through the stations and experience the after school programs. And we had a lot of fun doing that. And then these are some of the student events that we have throughout the year. And our Pride Parade is coming up in a few weeks. We have the learning exhibitions that I talked about. We had prom a couple of weeks ago. We had that right in the building in the Commons, which is just a beautiful, like, 3-story space. And the Oak Grove United Methodist Church made a lovely donation to us so that we could make our prom really special. And then we have a winter meal where the staff cooks for the students, and we do breakfasts a few times a year for the kids also. So we really try to build that community with our students. That is, that's my very quick presentation. I was wondering if you had any questions you'd like to ask.
Are there any questions? That was wonderful presentation. Learned a lot about the school. Jane, your hand is up. Go.
I had two questions. What is the date of the next open house where people can see the students' projects?
That's going to be on May 30th. It's a Thursday and it'll be in the evening. I don't think we have a time yet. It'll either be like 6 or 6:30. I can say 6:30 safely and we'll be rocking and rolling at 6:30.
Okay. And the other is, I believe it said for 10th grade, there was an AVID program. What is that?
AVID stands for, oh my gosh.
Okay.
It's an acronym. There's many acronyms in education, but it's a program that also prepares students for college and career. So it's about in 9th and 10th grades, it's about preparing students with the skills that they need to be a student. And in 11th and 12th grade, it's about preparing students for their next steps in their path. And it's also a collection of really great teaching strategies and teacher tricks that both for teaching and connecting with students. So it's kind of it's a very large nationwide program that many thousands of schools participate in every year.
Okay, thank you.
Eleanor, you
Yeah, two things. One, I know the field that's there next to New Urban High School. There's been activity, if you will, about how to help that become maybe traded with the Parks District so that that could be a field that could be an open park for everybody in the neighborhood, because we just don't really have any sort of gathering place. So I just wanted to make sure, are there any thoughts that you know of ever using that field in any sort of sport, extracurricular kind of thing? So I know in the past, it's when like, no, you're not going to, New Urban High School is probably not going to be involved in intramural sports. So that field would be more available to be able to be created into a public park.
I'd say that's above my level.
Yeah.
But here's what I can say is that I had been told that they were going to make the field into, I don't know, a baseball field, softball field, that they were going to groom it this year for that. I haven't actually looked out the window recently to see if that's happened. But I can't speak to the park. I know since the new building has been built, there's been a lot more interest in the use of the building than there was before. So people have been renting the gym and using the gym a lot, which has been great because we didn't have that before. But as for I can certainly connect you with the person in the district who would know more information about that.
Great. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know if it's Susan Aldrich by chance, or?
I would probably go to Cindy Detchen.
Okay.
But she also, I believe, is retiring soon. So I think they're
so.
hiring for her position. But she would be the person I would go to.
Okay. And then what day is the next Pride Parade? If you know.
Oh, I have your email, Eleanor. I have to let you know.
Okay.
I think we just decided what it is and I don't have it fresh in my head.
Great, because I'd love to.
It's mid-May.
Mid-May. Perfect. Great. Thank you so much. Lovely to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too.
Are there any other questions? If not, I want to thank you, Celeste, for coming, and congratulations on becoming the principal. I think that's great.
Valerie, we have Joyce who has a question.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see Joyce's hand up. Go ahead, Joyce.
I just wanted to say thank you because I am familiar with alternative sorts of plans for students, and I didn't realize it was down to 6th grade. That was fascinating to me. And then to answer the question about AVID, I've known a lot about AVID. I'm a retired teacher, but I never knew what it stood for. I thought it was something tricky, but it's Advancement Via Individual Determination. They could have come up with something better, I think. But it does explain it. Anyway, just wanted to add that. But thank you so much for all of that. And it sounds like a lot going on there that is fantastic.
Yes, there is. The middle school program is online only. So it's part of that New Urban online program. And it's been a nice option for some middle school students to just have that, to have an online option where they don't have to go outside the district. So like the online program has helped the district retain students who might have gone to other places, and they get to stay hours, which is nice.
Wow, that's fantastic. Yes.
Well, thank you again, and you're always welcome to come back. And if you have activities that you would like advertised and like us to put that out with our mailing list and whatnot, just let us know, and we would be pleased to do that. So thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. I'm going to head out as well. Thanks so much for your time and listening, and feel free to reach out to us if you need anything.
Great.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Right. Next up, we have Rose Ojeda, who is the Manufactured Housing and Cooperative Development Center Director for CASA of Oregon, and also a community member. So we're really pleased to have you, Rose, and she's going to speak to us on affordable housing models.
Hi, everyone. I have lived in Oak Grove since 2008, and I live off of Woodland Way, just south of Oak Grove. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen here. Let's see if I can do this right. Here we go. Okay, can everyone see that?
Yes.
And then I'm going to make sure that I don't lose anybody. There we go. Okay, great. Well, the first thing I want to do is tell you a little bit about CASA of Oregon and our national partner called ROC USA. ROC stands for Resident-Owned Communities. And we actually joined with our national partner, ROC USA, and they are based out of New Hampshire, to help avoid the displacement of residents who live in manufactured dwelling parks. And the impetus for that was essentially all the manufactured dwelling park closures that occurred in the early 2000s through pretty much, almost late 2010. And that is because there were really no laws that prohibited owners of manufactured dwelling parks from closing them and then using that land and redeveloping it generally to higher density housing. All right. So we started out by developing housing for farm workers. We had identified very early on a need to address the farm worker housing crisis in the mid-80s. And so we decided to form a 501c3 nonprofit corporation with the goal of providing development services to local communities who wanted to develop farm worker housing in their particular community. So we've been doing that since 1986. And we do operate throughout the state of Oregon. We have also expanded into other forms of affordable housing and community facilities and some economic development training, and then of course, the Manufactured Housing and Cooperative Development Center. So I wanted to explain a little bit about what we are and who we are dealing with. Right now, most of the manufactured dwelling parks in the state of Oregon are owned by private landowners, and these are real estate investors. And as a consequence, of course, of being a renter, you are at the mercy of the owner's rent increase. Fortunately, and I think beginning in, I can't remember the year now, maybe it was 2020, 2021, maybe. The state of Oregon decided to impose a rent cap. It was previously almost 15%, but last legislative session, they reduced it down to 10%. So rent increases now can not be increased by more than 10%. And of course, that includes space rents. So basically, under a real estate investment owned community, the residents have no say in how the park is operated. They are vulnerable to evictions. The landowners are still free to redevelop their property for another use. They do have to give at least 1 year's notice to the residents of manufactured dwelling parks, and they do have to also compensate them to help them with the relocation costs of the manufactured home that they own. However, the level of the relocation benefit is very, very small. It now costs in the range of, I would say minimum of about, 25 to 30,000 to move a manufactured home anywhere. This includes single wides. So essentially, manufactured homes are really designed now to be permanent housing structures in manufactured dwelling parks. They're extremely difficult to move out of manufactured dwelling parks at a reasonable cost. And so therefore, this does make the residents still very vulnerable to displacements. Of course, the residents pay their space rents and help build the wealth of the private landowner. The private landowner gets preferred income tax, and of course, their property continues to appreciate. We believe that resident-owned cooperatives are one of the most equitable forms of affordable housing because not only do they preserve their housing, but it is owned by the residents. And we assist the residents in helping them buy their manufactured dwelling parks. So this was a quote here that I just loved because this particular person, Elias, he was had been a renter his entire life and just, kind of a low wage earner. And he just couldn't wrap his mind around the idea that he was now going to be, in this collective form of ownership, an owner of their community, and not so much an owner, but a member of their community. And I love this quote. It feels great to be able to walk on this ground and say, this is ours for the rest of our lives. And he was one of the founding board members for their particular housing cooperative. So the benefits of the cooperative model. What we do is we help the residents form a nonprofit housing cooperative or a manufactured dwelling park cooperative. And it is the cooperative that actually holds the mortgage, and they're responsible for paying the loans and covering the operating cost of the park. There's no personal liability for the members. These are the residents who become members of the cooperative. And again, the members join, and each member has one vote. Major decisions are made by a majority vote of the members. The members control their expenses and they establish the monthly rent amounts. The rents cannot be increased without a majority vote of the members, and they all share equally in decision making. The infrastructure, the lands, the roadways, utility lines, all of that, those are all collectively owned by the cooperative. Each resident still owns their own manufactured home. There's always a lot of confusion about that. They own their own home. The cooperative owns the land and all the infrastructure. The members also get involved in creating their own rules, and they vote on those rules for adoption. And if they don't like the rules, they can always propose to amend those rules. The members also elect their board of directors. Since this is essentially a nonprofit cooperative form of ownership, the residents elect all of their boards members. They usually have about 5 to 7 board members that they elect. And if at any point the members decide that they don't like a particular board member for whatever reason, they can recall their members with a majority vote of the membership. And on occasion that has happened. So we've really seen some really interesting democracy in action. And sometimes it can happen very swiftly. If there is a board member who the members don't decide is a good representative for them. So that has happened on occasion. So it's really fascinating to me to see this democracy in action and to see them swiftly take action when things don't go quite the way they would prefer. And the members also have a say in how they utilize their excess funds. So they can decide if they want to give a rent rebate, if they want to help somebody out with a home improvement, if they want to help someone out with utility bills in a particular year, they get to decide. And some of these cooperatives do establish these kinds of policies when they do have surplus cash at the end of their budget year. Some of the disadvantages of being the cooperative model. You don't always get to agree with the majority opinion because, of course, every member has a vote, and the majority, they go basically with a simple majority of the members to move things forward. Not all the residents participate the way we would like them to. And we're basically calling on volunteer residents to help out with the operation of the cooperative. There is increased responsibility and a significant time commitment of the members of the board of directors. So on occasion, there is burnout, what we like to call. And so we're constantly having to work on community engagement so that we always have kind of a fresh surplus of members who are willing to serve on the board of directors for the cooperative. And there's a lot of decision making that goes into running a business because that's essentially what they are doing as residents. Sometimes the residents' expectations are too high. They might purchase a park and then they immediately want some major park improvements done. And of course, they really can't necessarily implement any of that until, there's a plan and there's funding in place to make those major infrastructure improvements. Members have to enforce the rules against their neighbors, and that can be very, very tricky. Fortunately, all of them have property management companies that they hire, and they do have to delegate those responsibilities to the property management company. But of course, the board of directors makes decisions about, any adverse action that they may direct a property manager to take against their neighbor. And so sometimes that can get very, very sensitive. Other benefits to the homeowners, and I think also to the community, they're developing permanent affordable housing security through stabilized lot rents. A lot of the people who live in manufactured dwelling parks are seniors and people who are, earn low wages, people with disabilities. We see a lot of veterans in manufactured dwelling parks. And this is their home, this is their community. And when you are able to secure their home with an affordable, housing cost, the benefits are really just enormous in so many areas of their lives. Again, we help them build their wealth through homeownership and asset appreciation. They control the park operations, the community rules, and the park maintenance. They help implement the health and safety improvements on the park infrastructure when they get the financing to make those improvements. There's a lot of civic engagement that goes on because, of course, the members have to vote on all kinds of decisions. And they may have to have special meetings if there are new rules or other decisions that have to be made by the members. They do get a lot of training around leadership skill development, and they are definitely involved in a lot more community engagement with their neighbors. We have heard often, this is the first time I've really gotten to know my neighbors who live across the street, because previously they've just sort of been in their homes. And this is definitely a venture that requires a lot of community engagement. And this is just an example of something that happens as they start to take control of their housing through a cooperative model. What we are seeing is long-term stabilization of their rents. And this is just an analysis that one lender did of their cooperatives that they had financed over a 15-year period. And this is kind of dated information now because actually lot rents are going up significantly lately. But over that period of time, you'll see here that the monthly lot fee in a resident-owned community after 15 years was $572, whereas in the private market, the rents were $888. So there's definitely a savings there, of course, to the residents. And residents are amazing stewards of of controlling their operating costs. I mean, we have seen over and over again them stepping up to really monitor closely their financial statements and to really work on figuring out how they can reduce operating costs as a group so that they can continue to maintain lower rents for the benefit of their entire community and also for new residents who move into their park. So there is a requirement if they get public funding to develop these parks that they have to maintain permanent housing affordability for a minimum of 60 years. So since we started developing this program, we have preserved now 27 parks in Oregon. They're located all over. There are actually 4 parks in Clackamas County that we have preserved. One is in Welch's, one is in Outer Clackamas, one is in Oak Grove, and then the largest one is in Gladstone. And then we're working on a 5th in Clackamas, but unfortunately, that particular park located in not too far actually from Two Rivers off of River Road was purchased by an investment company from California. So we were fortunately outbid on that one. But this represents about 1,800 households. And we have two more parks currently in the pipeline located in Southern Oregon that we're hoping to preserve by the end of the year. And that will represent about another 135 households if we're successful in preserving them throughout 2024. And this is just an example of the process and how long it takes to convert a park from start to finish. Generally, it is going to be about 6 months, 4 to 6 months, typically. 4 months if the seller or the owner of the park wants us to close quickly on the deal. 6 months plus if they are willing to give the residents a bit more time to find other grant funding. And this is where the board of directors during that interim period of the purchase of their park is really, really intensely making decisions on the, all the various due diligence, review of the purchase and sale agreement, review of the financing. They do an awful lot of work during this period of time in preparation to present to all the members for their final vote and approval on the financing, their operating budget, and their final rents. And at any point in the process, if the residents decide they do not want to move forward with the transaction, then we can effectively terminate this transaction. We've only had to do that lately once, where the residents just backed out of the deal, and it was mostly because we were not able to secure the grant funding for that particular cooperative. So it was a reasonable decision to make. This is just kind of a quick summary of the cost of resident-owned communities versus apartment rentals versus traditional home ownership, and why the preservation of manufactured dwelling parks is so important for lower income individuals, people on fixed incomes, people with incomes as a result of their disability, and other low-wage earners. So this is a little dated here, but the data we have is from 2022 for the Portland area. Average lots rents in 2022 for a resident-owned community for the metro area was 542, for a rural area was 409. The estimated income needed to live in these parks is about 21,680. This will give you an idea of the annual incomes that many of these residents have who live in manufactured dwelling parks. The average two-bedroom, this is a fair market rent. This is established by the Department of Housing and Urban Development. And this data is always is about a year off. But in 2022, the average housing cost for a rental was about $1,735, and that would equate to about $69,400 in income in order to be able to afford a rental apartment in the Portland metro area. In 2022, the average cost of a existing home was $566,000. You would need about $144,480 in order to live in a an existing home in the Portland metro area. So as you can see, when you compare the differences in the resident-owned community, apartment to apartment rental or home, clearly manufactured dwelling parks are designed for lower income individuals, and that's why it's so important to preserve. And then just as another comparison here, we looked at the average home site rents in 2022 for the Portland metro area. They were $783. And for seniors, it was $805. So compare these would probably be mostly privately owned manufactured dwelling parks. When you compare this average rent to the average rent here for a resident-owned community, you can see already here clearly the variation between a privately owned manufactured dwelling park and a resident-owned community. So, we firmly believe that cooperatives are an excellent housing model. We don't see a whole lot of them in Oregon. We see them a lot back east, some in the Midwest. I think we have one cooperative building in downtown Portland. It's a condominium building, but we don't see cooperatives very much. And they are actually a model that we've definitely taken advantage of for manufactured dwelling parks, and it is working very, very well. And I think that's it. And then I'm just providing my contact information here. I did provide a copy of my presentation to Valerie, and Valerie, feel free to share that out with folks who may have an interest in this particular housing model. And I'm
Thank
gonna stop
you,
sharing.
Rose. I see Thelma's got her hand up for a question. Go ahead.
Yeah, Rose, the county on May 8th, the county commissioners are going to be holding a public hearing on adding ADUs and RVs out in the rural residential areas. Has CASA done anything or intends to do anything as far as speaking of that?
No, I don't think we were too closely monitoring that particular public hearing. We often are asked by different groups, depending on, you know, the kind of advocacy they need to come and speak, but we have not been invited to come and speak on this topic yet.
Well, I haven't been able to listen to it yet, but the planning commission met about a week ago, and now it's going to May 8th to the commissioners. I've just been interested in what's going to happen with that.
What we are seeing in a lot of our manufactured dwelling parks is more and more people living in RVs on a permanent basis. It's a very affordable housing option for those who are the extremely low income. And we are seeing that, and the state of Oregon did begin to address that in a statute that does permit long-term occupancy in RV in manufactured dwelling parks. So I'm wondering, are they thinking of, it sounds like they may be thinking of expanding it because so many people are living in RVs. The problem is that you want to make sure that they have the infrastructure for the RVs so that we're not seeing, you know, RVs on the streets and in places where they really don't have any, bathrooms or access to showers and other things that they need, and, you know, for, you know, just hygiene, good hygiene. So, we definitely are supportive of creating more manufactured dwelling parks to accommodate extremely low income folks. And this is something that we are pursuing also, is trying to figure out how we can develop some new parks throughout the state of Oregon. And we are talking to different folks throughout different parts of Oregon. We have been lately very, very involved in the wildfire recovery effort in Southern Oregon. And we have been redeveloping manufactured dwelling parks that were destroyed in Southern Oregon. During the 2020 Alameda fire, they actually lost 17 manufactured dwelling parks. And all those folks were mostly displaced. A few senior parks have been redeveloped, but most of the parks have not returned. We have, I think, a total of about 3 or 4 that nonprofits and other organizations like ours are developing. And then I believe another 3 to 4 privately held parks have been redeveloped. So it isn't a great affordable housing option. And, especially for those on fixed incomes, we think we just need to continue to support that housing model.
So Rose, how does a manufactured housing park come to your attention? Is it because of residents or because it's put up for sale, or how does that work?
I didn't cover that, and because this is a presentation we often make to the residents, but because they're already familiar with the notification process. In Oregon, there was an opportunity to purchase law that was passed in 2014. And it basically requires a park owner who is going to put the park on the private market to notify the residents that the park is for sale. And then they get an opportunity to compete to purchase the park. And they have to respond within 15 days to the owner that they have formed a resident committee, that they're getting some assistance to help them explore the possibility of purchasing their manufactured dwelling park. So there is a state law that now requires that notice. There's a lot of parks, though, that are exempt from that notice requirement because if the seller is going to do a 1031 exchange, or the park is part of a reverse 1031 exchange, then they are exempt from the notice requirements to the residents, and then the park just gets sold. And that is the majority of the transactions for manufactured dwelling parks. We have some really great owners of parks in Oregon. There are actually a lot of owners of parks who have, in gratitude for the wealth that their residents have helped them create, do contact us periodically and ask us if there's a way that they might be able to sell the park directly to their residents. And so we periodically do have some sellers who want to sell directly to the residents. And so we have successfully been able to do that for a few of our parks. And that's a very generous thing to do. Although there is an incentive for a seller too. They get an Oregon capital gains tax break if they sell to the residents or another nonprofit. So there is some benefit for them too, but they don't necessarily always take advantage of it. So it's great when we get an owner who contacts us directly who wants to sell their park directly to the residents.
Rose, can you explain what a 1031 exemption is that you spoke of?
Yeah, it's an IRS law that basically allows a real estate or an investment property to be sold for something comparable to that investment, and they defer their capital gains tax. And they have all these very strict timelines and requirements in order to do that 1031 exchange. So you're going to have a park owner who decides that they want to buy a real estate investment property in California. And so they find something comparable and they're going to exchange the property to defer their tax. And I'm simplifying it a lot. There's an awful lot to these 1031 exchanges.
Okay. Jane, I see your hand.
Yes, Rose, I wondered if CASA or the Rock USA was involved in the mobile home park. I guess in Jennings Lodge near Meldrum Bar becoming a cooperative.
Yeah, that was sad because actually even the county chair got involved in that one, and the mayor of the city of Gladstone and the local housing authority, and they all kind of got together to see what could be done to help the residents of that park purchase their park.
They did not?
And they did not purchase their park. That was the park where we later discovered that they already had another buyer. There was a California real estate investor who decided to do a reverse 1031 exchange, and they were buying 4 parks as part of our portfolio package. And that park called, I think it was called Tri-City. That was included in that package. So it was part of a 1031 exchange. And therefore they were exempt from the notice requirement to the residents. We did try to figure out if there was some way that we could legally, dispute that. Well, we didn't, but the residents were pursuing that. And unfortunately, they just erred. They made a mistake. They issued the notice to the residents of the park was for sale, and not realizing that an interested buyer was including it as a 1031 exchange. So it was just a big error. And unfortunately, the residents got really excited. Everybody got really excited about the possibility of purchasing that park. And then, of course, it just wasn't going to happen.
I see. Thank you.
But Clackamas County stepped up for that one. They did a great job of stepping up to try to save it.
Good. Wayne, I saw your hand.
I'm just curious what the role of state government is in terms of some financial support as well as technical assistance and so on.
Yeah, well, of course, the state of Oregon has laws on the books that help preserve and protect residents of manufactured dwelling parks. And in addition to that, the Oregon Housing and Community Services Department, they have developed a manufactured dwelling park preservation program, and they make grants and an affordable loan to help residents of these parks purchase their parks. And so CASA, as the development consultant, we access all those resources to help the residents purchase their parks. And this is all really complicated affordable housing financing, and we walk the residents through the process and explain, how this financing works from the start to finish. And so they are involved in a crash course in affordable housing finance as part of the purchase of their parks. It's pretty impressive what the residents are able to accomplish, because it's mostly their effort.
Anita, I see your hand.
Should we be asking our legislators to work on this, to make some legislation that would further this goal?
Yeah, I mean, it's always helpful to have community support funding for preservation of manufactured dwelling parks. in the current legislative, or for the prior legislative session, and the current legislative session, the short session, the priority was given to developing new housing to add to the inventory of affordable housing. And so we got a little bit shortchanged on preserving manufactured dwelling parks. But it was through the efforts of a just incredible group of seniors out of Grants Pass who demanded that the governor set aside more funding for park preservation, that they were successful and they were able to get us an additional 5 million, and we have 10 million available to help preserve manufactured dwelling parks, which is fantastic. And it was mostly through the efforts of these seniors. It was pretty impressive. But we really need, I would say, a minimum of 25 million a year to help us, preserve 3 to 4 parks a year. That's that, and we would love to see that as a goal to adopt, that we would be able to preserve 3 or 4 parks per year. As it is this year, I think we're going to be able to do 2 parks with the 10 million.
So Rose, I know in our Oak Grove area, there are quite a number of.
There are lots of parks in Clackamas County. I think Clackamas County has the largest number of manufactured dwelling parks in the area and throughout Oregon.
That would make sense. So curiosity, I guess it sounded like you said that, the owner can decide they want to sell. How much, time do residents have to pull it all together?
Well, some owners don't give us a lot of time. Some owners will say to us, hey, and actually a lot of owners put their parks on the market after they get cash offers. I mean, we had one park in Southern Oregon that received, a really an unprecedented amount offer for like almost 9 million, and for 100 units of housing. And that's the price points for these parks are just getting really expensive. And, so we had an offer, and, but he or they decided to put the park on the market for sale. And fortunately, one of the owners really, really cherished their residents. And so they decided, they were able to persuade the other owner to sell to the residents if we could match their offer, and we could commit to closing within 120 days. So, we're all going to work super hard to try to meet that goal. And so we're in the middle of trying to do that right now with the residents.
I guess part of my question is, how do the residents themselves know that they have this option? I mean, is there something like a community group like the Oak Grove Community Council can do?
Yeah, and there isn't anything, there's a statewide organization called Oregon State Tenants Association. And we've been trying to get, them to do more outreach to the residents in manufactured dwelling parks so that they become aware of the availability, or excuse me, the law, first of all, the opportunity to purchase law, and then the availability of resources to help them purchase their parks. But that said, we have to be careful about that, because there generally isn't enough resources to help every resident group who wants to purchase their parks. Unfortunately, we just don't have enough resources. But if they can help plan for a future sale, then we try to get them to consider getting organized in the event their park goes back on the market at some future time when there is more resources.
Wayne, did I see your hand?
Stories get told, I guess, that manufactured homes haven't always been very weatherworthy, and as a consequence, they cause property, the maintenance, and also the heating and cooling and so on to be far more expensive. And there have been attempts on the state government to set funds aside to upgrade housing for low income. Does this apply to mobile homes as well?
Yes. In fact, the last few years, the state of Oregon was making funding available for mini split systems, and manufactured dwelling parks or homes did qualify for those mini splits. So we try to get, that resource to as many of these manufactured homes as possible in our cooperatives. And there were several that were successful. We're always looking also for funds to help replace homes and provide and get individuals who can afford to get into energy efficient new manufactured homes. The problem, of course, is income. You know, a lot of these folks who live in manufactured dwelling parks tend to be very low income. And of course, it's not true for every park, because there are some parks that are, you know, very nice, full of amenities with higher income folks. But you're always going to have, you know, some percentage of the residents in manufactured dwelling parks who are on lower fixed incomes. And, you know, this is what they can afford. And maintaining the home is always a challenge. And that's why we think that lowering their space rent costs is so critical, because it's going to free up their money over time, more of their money over time, to help them maintain their homes. And then, of course, they'll have a little bit of extra money to help them maintain their homes. The co-ops, you know, are in the business of trying to figure out how they can use some of their resource to help individuals maintain their homes. And then CASA as an organization tries to connect the co-ops with other resources that are available and provided usually by the state to help them reduce their energy costs and maintain their homes. So, you know, we're all working together to try to figure out this problem of helping these homeowners, these low-income homeowners, maintain their homes. But it is a huge problem.
Can you give us an idea about what a manufactured home costs?
Yes, we're developing a new park right now in Southern Oregon. And for a modest single wide, it's a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, about, you know, 725 square feet. That home, I think, is going to cost us, for the structure itself, is about $75,000. For the transportation and the setup, you know, and the foundation work, you know, you're looking at about another $40,000. So, but it is still a very affordable housing option. And the thing too about manufactured structures is that they are now built to higher standards, and they have to meet a certain HUD code for construction, and so they are much sturdier than they have ever been, and they're of course designed to be extremely energy efficient. And then also, because we were building in Southern Oregon, they had to be designed to be fire retardant. So these manufactured homes in Southern Oregon are designed very uniquely to be fire retardant, and the landscaping is also being designed to be as fire retardant as you can make it. And so that was, and then for double wides, which are 3 bedrooms and 4 bedrooms, you know, they're definitely, you know, and you know, reaching the $200,000 range for all of that. But again, it's still a very, very affordable housing option for folks versus, you know, an existing home of now in Oregon, you know, in many areas, well over 500,000.
Well, that was a lot of very valuable information, Rose. Are there other questions from people? As I want to take advantage of the fact that Rose is here and we can ask her directly about these issues. And thank you. Oh, I see a
You're
hand.
welcome.
Wayne is waving his hand. So.
Right. I just, you know, from some of the stories you've told, it sounds like that investment, the companies that want to invest in property can put a lot of pressure on the development within any area. And I'm wondering how much pressure is there by investment firms that are looking for a good way to buy some cheap land?
Mm-hmm. Well, you mean in terms of buying cheap land like manufactured dwelling parks, or any land? Because land is no longer cheap in Oregon. I mean, it's gotten so expensive. And in terms of manufactured dwelling parks, the reason that we are seeing so much real estate investor demand in manufactured dwelling parks is because we are seeing a lot of real estate investors moving away from commercial buildings. You know, all the office, you know, all the vacant office buildings and or low vacancy buildings all over major cities. They're moving away from them, and they're looking for other real estate investment vehicles. And they have rediscovered manufactured dwelling parks. And so that has been pushing the demand for this particular housing model way up. And the price points are showing it. But land in Oregon is just, it's gotten very, very expensive. So even to develop multifamily housing is you know, it's approaching, you know, in metro areas, well over 500,000 per unit. And we are insisting that manufactured dwelling parks for low-income homeowners is a great option because we can build them a new park unit for about, you know, averaging between about 250 and 260 per unit versus, you know, a multifamily new construction metro area, you know, unit costs of between, you know, 5 and 600,000 per unit.
I saw
And
Eleanor's,
that's what it's
and then
costing.
okay, excuse me. I saw Eleanor's hand and then I saw Joyce, and then we
Yeah.
probably need to.
Yep, wrap
close
up.
this.
Okay, yeah. Hi, Eleanor.
Hi, Rose. I know Senator Merkley is sponsoring a bill to get hedge funds out of being able to buy real estate.
Right.
And I just wonder if there's any way to tack this on or something like that, but that idea of, you know, larger investors instead of
Mhm.
individual families, just something like that. Just a thought.
Yeah, we have been, I hadn't heard that update, but we have been advocating with Ron Wyden and Jeff Merkley to take a look at this issue so that we can, you know, hopefully, you know, get more, you know, real estate investors out of the business of displacing
Right.
low income folks in manufactured dwelling parks, because that is essentially what is happening in many cases. I mean,
Yeah.
we are seeing some pretty dramatic stories when real estate investors come in and
Mhm.
buy these parks,
Mhm.
and they can't increase rents immediately, but what they do is they wait until someone needs to sell their home, and then they increase the rent dramatically up to the full market.
Right.
And then that impacts that usually a senior's ability to sell their home.
Right.
When they really need to sell their home.
Yeah.
And so it's been causing a lot of havoc.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you for that, Eleanor. I will follow up on that and see where that is, so we
Yeah.
can definitely support that effort.
Great. Yeah.
Joyce?
So what I hear you saying is that even with the notification and the time and the organizing that has to happen, still, if you're not competitive, you're sunk.
They're not going to accept your offer.
Right.
You know, we have an opportunity to compete, but if we can't meet all of their conditions for an acceptable offer, they can turn us down.
Yeah, it
And so
sounds
that's
like
always
it's getting worse.
that's always a really heartbreaking conversation to have with the residents. It's always tough.
Yeah. Anyway.
Well, again, thank you, Rose. I mean, I
You're
think
welcome.
we're all as a community aware of the housing issue in ours. It's across the country, but particularly in our metro area. And anything that can be helpful, I appreciate your taking the time and coming and sharing with us. And if there's anything that we can as a community council do to help, there's legislation that comes up, and just send us a note. And of course, you're a member of the community, so we would love to have you anytime show up.
Yeah, well, thank you all so much for your interest and for your time in this really important topic, especially right now.
Well, thank you,
And,
Rose, for the work
all
that
right.
you're doing. Thank you,
Oh,
Rose.
you're welcome.
Thank
Absolutely.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you all. Have a good
Your
evening.
heart. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
So we'll move on. And Joseph, I want to call on you around issues of Blue Art, if there's anything that you want to say or bring up.
Thank you, Valerie. Luart has been pretty quiet, but I did want to say that there was one decision that came in this morning, that I have not had time to review yet. It's what is it, Z0470-23, and this is a commercial building on Kellogg Avenue. Let's see. I have it right here, 14913 Southeast Kellogg Avenue. So this is just south of Fred Meyer's and just south of that storage building on that side street, which is Kellogg Avenue. And so there's a building there, and there was a design review for that business, and so that was approved. I haven't had time to review it yet. And so if there's interest in knowing what this is about, feel free to email us at contact@oakgrovecpo.org. I'd be happy to, reply back and, kind of explain what this was about. And if there's interest in this, I can come back next month and show a couple pictures. And, it's not a very substantial change, but there are some improvements that will result in, as far as I know, it should result in a little bit more of a formalized driveway with more of like a sidewalk and, safe place for people to walk along the business frontage. So anyway, more on that if anyone's interested next month.
Great. So there was a question just to pop up, the statement about Trader Joe's coming. What does Trader Joe's coming to our area mean? Anything, Joseph, that you can, I mean, we used to hear about, we couldn't, I think very, recently we would hear that we couldn't have a Trader Joe's or a New Seasons or anything like that in our area because we didn't have enough population. So what does this mean that they're coming?
Strangely enough, we don't have a whole lot more population than we used to. We have seen more housing go in, but the housing tends to be occupied by smaller households than we used to have. And so it's kind of been a wash. And so what it actually means is that the demographics of who are here is changing, and that it's apparently a more attractive customer base for a business like Trader Joe's, and that they're willing to not look at our sheer numbers and instead look at, I guess, spending power perhaps would probably be part of that equation. And so, as housing and, land has gotten more expensive, then the people who occupy it have higher incomes and are more attractive customers. So this technically is gentrification.
Right. Think about, so I remember when I was first the chair of the community council, the main complaint was the number of strip joints on McLaughlin Boulevard. I think there were 5 at the time. There's 1 now. So this is just like what's shifted, What's the land value? How's the land values changed? Yep.
I'm not particularly a great Trader Joe's customer plan, but I would certainly trade Trader Joe's any day for 4 strip clubs on.
Yeah.
Okay, it's an improvement, so a good thing for our community.
It is. Thanks,
All right.
Dan. Thanks, Daniel, for.
I was just going to say it's a double-edged sword.
That's
Yeah, it's a lot cheaper than New Seasons too.
What isn't? Oh, right. Anyway, I digress.
Yes.
Okay, let's do some committee reports. Anita, did you have a committee report?
Yeah, I'd like to talk about parks. Whether or not you were aware of it, the relationship between the community and NCPRD, North Clackamas Parks and Recreation, hasn't been very robust over time. And we're in a new era now, perhaps. We have a new director, they have a new director, and a big project that only happens every 20 years, which is to develop a new systems plan, which is the same as a master plan. It's just a preferred set of words now. And they have like a program that won't even be finished until sometime in 2025 that involves a whole lot of outreach, focus groups, tabling at events, surveys, presence at, as many places they can, trying to reach all the different demographics. So part of that is what was reported on at the last OGCC meeting, I think. But another part of being connected between the community and the Parks District is doing volunteer work in parks. And this Saturday, there's an event at River Villa Park. It's to pull ivy and get rid of invasives and collect garbage, maybe left fishing line or something. It's from 10 to noon at River Villa Park, and the natural areas specialist, Lauren Carey, will start us off with some kind of education about habitat restoration at River Villa Park, particularly related to the small fish in the river. When they're first trying to make their way to the ocean, they need resting places. So that's going to be part of what she'll talk about. And so if you wanted to come to that, you can bring your own tools and gloves, or you can just use what they provide. Water, tools, gloves, wheelbarrows will be there. But it's nice for them to know if you're coming. So if you go to ncprd.com/volunteer, you can sign up and let them know that you're coming. Or if you just go to, excuse me, ncprd.com and look at the banner that keeps changing with a different display, there'll be part of the banner that says volunteer in your parks, and you could click on that and it will take you to the place where you sign up. And the second thing is, in terms of community connection to the Parks District, is the District Advisory Committee, which is made up of community volunteers. It needs some new people. And so the process is the application is window is already open. You can go to the county website called clackamas.us/community/ABC. They call all these volunteer committees and boards ABC. So you go there and you scroll down a long ways, or you scroll on another section. I didn't set this up. It's not a great scene on that part of the website, but you can find the one that says NCPRD Advisory Committee if you want to apply to become a member. And as I heard today, nobody from our sub area or from Oak Grove has applied yet. And this is, let's see, it's open until, I mean, they'll take applications through May 30th. So if you want to be on the advisory committee, what you do is you meet once a month and you advise the board of directors about what you think should happen. And right now, like I said, they're doing a systems plan, which will be assessing needs and wishes throughout the district. And so you can be part of that in a more direct way if you're on the advisory committee. So any questions about either of those things?
I don't have a question about either of those, but I just wanted to pose a question that a young person had raised with me about Riverville Park. And this is a person who is a dog owner and said that that Riverville Park is not a good place to go with your dog because there's too many people that take their dogs and let them run free. Are you aware of that? And is that really an issue? And is there anything that we could be helpful as a group to get people to be more controlling of their animals that they're doing?
Yeah, that's a complicated one. And I know that happens at lots of parks, and not just in our parks district, but throughout Portland area. Yeah, people, there seems to be a group of people who come early in the morning with their dogs and they have them off leash and the dogs all run around, and it's a dog party every morning. But that happens off and on throughout the day, and it doesn't work for every dog owner, especially if you have some dogs off leash and some dogs on leash. It's really asymmetrical and problematic. So officially on the sign, it says your dogs have to be on leash, but it's up to the community members to go along with that. They don't like send the sheriff or something to see if you're going along with it. So if you have an issue about dogs in Riverville Park, check in with me or Mark, because we're your current advisors on the committee, and we will take that information to the rest of the DAC or the advisory committee and talk it over with NCPRD staff. And there are other ways you could make a phone call directly to NCPRD. Go to their website, and you can find the part that says contact us, and you can tell people directly that this is an issue for you.
So someone brought that up to me, and I'm telling you, do I need to call you another time and tell you that this?
No, I will report that issue again. You know, it's one of the things that comes up. And here's an interesting thing they tried in some parks in Portland. They decided that they couldn't enforce always, you know, that people always had to keep their dogs on leashes. So they decided to try out having certain hours posted that were for off leash, and certain hours were for on leash. I really need to follow up and see how that turned out. I don't know. But right now in our district, we only have one park that's for dogs. That is at North Clackamas Park, where they actually have 2 areas for dogs to run around off leash that are fenced. So we're kind of deficient in dog parks. So people are improvising.
Thank you. Jane, I see your hand.
I'm just chiming in because just hours ago, before I cleaned up for this meeting, I was speaking with a new neighbor right near me who was asking me if I knew of any dog parks in the area where dogs could be off leash because she'd like to take her dog. But when she goes to Riverville, there are too many dogs running around, and she's got a, French bulldog, which has no legs essentially, and can't do it. Anyway, it just came up hours ago. Anita, there's 2 comments right now.
All right.
You're welcome.
Wayne.
Mark and I have heard.
Well, I go to Rivervilla Park fairly frequently, and I've been encountering loose dogs that are not well behaved. In fact, as we've had to warn people, I think on occasion, that their dog is misbehaving and they should leash them up. And my own personal feeling is that if you can't control the dogs, you need to have a fenced area where they can run free. Because there's not enough staff in the park district to oversee this, and I hate to have to confront neighbors about ill-behaved dogs. I really do.
Right. And people want to just walk their dog to the nearest park. They don't want to drive their dog to North Clackamas Park necessarily.
Yeah.
But it's also a terrible thing if somebody breaks a hip because a dog has mowed into them while they're chasing another dog, not okay. So
Not okay with me. I've been approached by wet dogs who were playing in the river and then ran up to me. It's not my
Well,
favorite thing.
The other thing is it's dangerous is if you have some dogs on leash and you have some dogs not, and the dog on the
very
leash
bad.
starts to run and they can wrap somebody up in the leash and then you can fall. So yeah, and it is hard because we don't have enough dog parks. However, we also don't have enough people parks. So it makes it really complicated if we defer to the dogs when then people, and I think that was kind of a threat that I heard about Roseville, is that it wasn't very welcoming for people and people that had their dogs under control because of the others. So anyway, all right.
So this is a topic that the DAC should look at again.
I used to
Thank
take
you.
my dog to Mary S. Young all the time because that's an off leash, no fence, but that's also
really?
problematic. And, depends on what time of day you go there, whether or not it's safe so that you won't get bowled over at the back of the knees and all. It's a tough thing, even there, for sure.
Right.
Okay, other committee reports. Do we have a committee report on the Oak Grove Festival coming up?
Yes, this is Mark, and I'll just give a brief update. I hope everyone's aware of the date of the festival has been moved to June 29th, the last Saturday in June. Unfortunately, Father's Day is the weekend before, so there's really no big thing that's happening that conflicts with that unless you're getting married. I suppose that happens a lot in June. And we expect the weather to be much more amenable this year than last. Right now, future forecasts show high 70s. I would love if that was the case. So we really hope for a really big group to show up. We are getting a lot of good sponsorship from the local community businesses. We have increased our budget this year to accommodate a much bigger group of entertainment, both professional and local entertainers. So we actually have 2 locations now within the festival that will be offering music. And there's one person I wish I could say was going to sing, but we're not allowed to say that until after this person sings at a festival here locally. But it's someone you would know, and this person is very well known and is a great singer and was there last year. So things are happening very well. And there are going to be volunteer opportunities for folks to volunteer during the festival for a variety of things that are not too exhausting. That will be very helpful to us. And we'll be reaching out to folks through the community as well as the community council to let you know what those volunteer opportunities are. So that's about all us. Anybody has any questions for me about it?
Well, maybe we should talk about the
Community council.
yeah, the community council plans that we, I'm sorry, I thought I heard somebody else speak, but I guess not. Do we want to talk a little bit about what, because we will have a booth, two booths actually, at the Oak Grove Festival. So we've been putting our heads together and thinking about what we might want to do there. And so we've come up with some ideas. We are hoping to have refrigerator magnets to give away to everyone who stops by that will, oh, Mark, you do a better job of describing
Sure.
these than I do. These.
So, we want to give away some merch. Merch is a good, people like merch. And so we put together some ideas of things that we can give away to people to to prove kind of our, let people know that we exist and that ways in which they can join in our meetings. So these refrigerator magnets are intended to be right there on your refrigerator where you can see information about how you can join our meetings and when those meetings happen. We're also thinking about getting some little yard signs, small little yard signs that are kind of intended to say, I'm really proud of being an Oak Grove resident, and here's a sign that tells you so. So it's just kind of a way of saying, hey, I really like Oak Grove, and I want you to let you know I'm proud of where I live. And so there's a few things like that that we're hoping to have to give away to folks. And so some of that is going to be paid. Those kind of things are intended to be paid for by our new foundation, which Valerie will speak about more in a moment. The community council, there are two things that we're hoping the members would agree to let us purchase. One is new yard signs that we would put up prior to our monthly meetings to let people know that our meetings are taking place. And right now, our yard signs say we're meeting at Rose Villa, which hasn't happened for about 4 years. And so we need new yard signs to let people know how and when they can join us for these meetings. The other is that we're asking the group here to authorize and make okay to sponsor again the festival this year with a $500 donation. So I'm hoping that someone might be willing to make a motion that would state that. I don't want to do that myself since I'm on the festival committee, but I'm hoping that someone else might be willing to make a motion to that effect.
I guess I shouldn't do that either then, but I would just want to suggest that instead of calling it a $500 donation, that it's recognized as a $500 sponsorship. So that the community council does get all sorts of publicity in accordance with the other $500 sponsors in terms of having the name and stuff like that out there. So I would just, if somebody was willing to make a motion that that they say that it would be a $500 sponsorship. So Jane, your hand went up.
I will make the motion that we offer a $500 sponsorship in lieu of receiving our booths at a reduced rate.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Tom has seconded.
It has been
I
moved.
was second.
Good. It has been moved and seconded that we sponsor the Oak Grove Festival at a $500 level again this year. We're a small group tonight. We can do this by consensus, or is there anyone that has a question about doing this, would like to speak about it before we call for the vote? Any concerns in particular from the group? Wayne?
No, I'm just, the sponsorship, the money, actually, what does the money go for after the sponsorship?
Good question. We'll let the chairs of the festival.
So,
let us-
this year we are spending somewhere in the neighborhood of about $10,000 or more on the festival. We have been doubling how much we spend on the festival almost every year. And so this year is not quite a double, but it's almost double. About half of that money comes from the vendors who sign up and pay a fee to be there. So we really require the money from sponsors to make up the other half. We don't charge any fee for folks to be there. We really want it to be free to residents, so there is no barrier for anyone to participate. So we really depend both on sponsors and our vendors to help us pay for the expenses. And some of the big expenses are, it cost about $3,000 just to close the street. Seems kind of crazy, but that's about how much it costs.
Yep.
And this year's music is costing in the neighborhood of $4,500 since we are paying for some professional singers to be there this time. So some new things we're doing that are making it more expensive, but we hope that will just improve the festival more and more every year.
So will we recognize sponsors in some way? I mean, is it done through the festival committee or on council or what? How do you do that?
There's a variety of ways that sponsors are recognized. One is through Facebook posts between now and the event. We have a sponsor banner that's put up during the event itself. We also put the sponsors, the logos on a variety of different signs, postcards,
T-shirts,
t-shirts, so that we acknowledge our sponsors before and during and after the event.
And announcements are made during the festival to thank people at a certain level and stuff like that. And Mark goes around with a little plexiglass thing saying, you know, thank you. Like, so that at the booth, you have a thing on your counter saying that you are a festival sponsor. It's all laid out, Wayne. We got this part down. This is the 6th year. It's like these different levels of your $500 or $1,000 or $250 or whatever. So it's very specific what you get and how big it is and all that stuff.
I have to say I'm really proud that just about all of our sponsorships are from local businesses.
Yes.
Not individuals. And so I think that's really great that they are taking a real interest in our community.
I think because we're less than 25 people here tonight, is that the way that works? We need to have the names of everyone who is voting. So we're all voting members.
Right.
So what we can do is you can, if people, all right, I've tried to think through this. What will make people the most comfortable? If you oppose this, you could send a note directly in the chat to Jane Civiletti, who will record that. If otherwise, we could do a show of hands.
What we could do, Valerie, is we could ask for everyone who wants to vote no to show their hands, and then anyone who wants to abstain can show their hands, and then everyone else is assumed to vote yes.
And again, it's just voting members. So those who are voting members.
Right, and we would record that from the attendance.
Almost everybody who's here.
Yeah.
Okay. So is there anyone opposed to the $500 sponsorship? Is there anyone who would like to abstain? Okay. Looks pretty good to me. It looks like everyone is in favor. Mark also brought up the new signs. Mark, can you give us a price on the yard signs so that this is something that we really need to do. I modified an old one, and it paper is now getting warped, and it just really needs to be changed. So
yeah, these yard signs are about 18 by 24 inches. They're on metal stands or little metal things you stick in the ground. They are made out of corrugated plastic, so they stand up to rain and so on. They run about $10 a piece, and we're thinking we're going to get about 10 to 12 of these. So it would be an expense of about $125 or so if there's no shipping costs, which I hope to be able to avoid. So about 125 for these new yard signs.
So can we hear, is there a motion from the floor about purchasing new yard signs? Wayne? Wayne, are you saying that you so move that we?
Sorry, I just wanted to say I support it. I make a motion that we pay for 100, whatever, the $120 for these specialized signs. I don't know what the proper title is.
Yard signs. Just
yard sign, yeah.
Yeah, let us know that. Is there a second to that?
I'll
second that.
Yeah, go for
Okay,
it.
Daniel's got a second on that. Great. Is there any discussion about the yard signs? I should say that Mark has done a really good job of designing these. And one of the pieces of it is that they will have a QR code on them, which means that if we change our way of meeting, people will be able to look that up. I finally figured out how to use QR codes. I figure younger generations are gonna do better, but so that they can move with us, the sign itself, what people can pick up the information about what we're doing.
Is it going to tell where we're meeting on these new signs?
The sign will say that we're meeting, right now we're meeting on Zoom, right? But what it will do is send people to the website if they use the QR code. And I think the website is also written out so that people can find information about it. So it will say that the dates that we meet, so they will know that. But with the QR code, it allows us to have some flexibility, so we don't have to buy new signs if we find a place to meet immediately, or when we at last find home again. Eleanor, your hand's up. Have you a comment you wanted to make here?
Yes, one of the key things about these signs is having them in great locations. So if anybody knows people who live at particular, like near a park or at certain intersections where there's, stop signs and turning and stuff like that, that's really, really helpful to have them in really key locations. The other great thing is to ask the people who live there if they'd be willing to, put that sign out, like you could send a reminder email so that that's just a natural sort of thing that happens and again, to have them sprinkled throughout the entire space of the Oak Grove community makes a really big difference. So parking lots of grocery stores, stuff like that really helps a lot. So
we're gonna put them there. Okay.
Mark, you to come?
Yeah, I wanted to say that, likely these signs are going to last for a couple of years until our new home, which I expect is going to be at the new community center at the Concord School. That'll be our permanent home, at least that's my hope. So we may have to make these again, but I think it's going to be worth the expense now for the next, 24 months.
We call for a vote. Is there anyone who is against spending the money to buy the yard signs? Is there anyone who prefers to abstain? Okay, you're really easy tonight. Great. Okay, we can figure that out. Are there other public, before we go to announcements, I want to find out if there's other committees that need to report. Is there? Any comments or public input ideas that people want to bring to the community? Quiet group. Okay. For announcements, we would like to announce that the Friends of Oak Grove Community Council has been officially constituted. It's a private 501c3 with a focus of supporting the Oak Grove Community Council and the activities that will support the work of the Oak Grove Community Council. We're pretty excited about the fact that it exists. And as Mark pointed out, the 501c3, the Friends, will be helping to fund some of the merch at the Oak Grove Festival booth, so that we will be a little splashier than we used to be able to be, because we have some funds behind us. The Friends have established a bank account at the new Embold Credit Union. Embold is where Safeway used to be on McLaughlin, and just down from just south from Oak Grove Boulevard. If you would like to make a donation to the Friends of Oak Grove Community Council, there's a couple of ways to do that, and we'll put a link on our website to make sure that people know how. But you could go into Embold. I talked to them today, and all you would need to do is say that you wanted to make a donation to Friends of Oak Grove Community Council. So this is a 501c3, and we're getting receipts printed up so that we can get those to people. If you make a cash donation right now, that'd be a little bit more difficult for us to keep track. So we want to make sure that that everyone who makes a donation is recognized to that. We give thanks to Willamette View, which gave an initial $1,000 to get the 501c3 started. So if there's any questions about that, let me know. Otherwise, currently the address for the Friends is my personal address. And we can put that out someplace if people wanted to donate that way. We're at 2461 Southeast Evergreen Street with Milwaukee 97222. So we will have some cards of that available at the Oak Grove booth for that opportunity. So we hope to be doing fundraising as time gets going, and so we want to encourage this community council to dream about the things that will be helpful as we want to make a stronger community. Part of it is signage, just helping people know where they are in Oak Grove, not Milwaukee. We'll be working on that. One of the ideas that we've had for the Oak Grove Festival booth is that these little yard signs that say, we're happy, we're great, or how we're going to do that about we live in Oak Grove, is that we'll think about how to disperse those so that they go to like the first 5 or 6 people from every area within the Oak Grove CPO, so that they can spread out and won't all be, it'd be lovely if we could put them all the way along River Road with all the residents, but we really want to see them spread out throughout the area. So that's our hope. And more from that group as they get themselves going. So Tom, I see your hand.
I want to say something again tonight about our Gladstone Oak Grove Kiwanis spaghetti dinner. We are having our annual spaghetti dinner, and it's Saturday, 27th at Oak Grove United Methodist, 4 to 7 on Saturday. And it's a fundraiser for our scholarship program. So we sponsor scholarships for key clubs, which are service-oriented clubs in high school that teach service and give the club members an opportunity to do that. There's about 45 of them at Gladstone High School. There's one at Oregon City. There's one in Clackamas. Clackamas has got about 65 kids. So there's going to be 20 kids that are helping us Saturday evening. with the spaghetti dinner. So please come, please tell your friends. There's a flyer out there about it. If anyone wants more flyers, I'd be happy to get some to you, so that you can promote it. Hope you all come.
So we did put a link to the flyer on that went out with a notice for this meeting. And I do know from talking to Tom that they do have the option for gluten-free noodles at the spaghetti dinner. So if that's an issue in your family, you can still go to the spaghetti dinner.
Well, we do. And thank you for putting the link out too. We appreciate it.
Do we have any other announcements tonight? Thoughts, good of the order? Well, I think that covers everything.
Valerie, I would just say because we've already gone over this, but as you may already know, if you're driving down River Road, there are a number of houses which have been removed from Evergreen Street and also from River Road. And that Willamette is in the process over the next couple of years of developing 5 new duplexes or for 10 homes in that particular area. And we've talked to some of our neighbors as we walked down Evergreen and said, what do you think? And we've gotten some fairly good responses from them. They will be quality homes and will add really to the well-being and to the look of the community. I'm really proud that they're going to be going out.
All right, anything else tonight? I think with that, our next meeting will be May 22nd at 7 p.m. We will not have a board meeting again until June the 3rd. So thank you for being here. And well, with that, I will end the recording.